When you look at the 405 or the 101 or the 110, you see how much convenience, how much mobility, how much economic activity those corridors support. It has built fortunes, it has saved lives, it has created communities, it's made untold numbers of businesses possible. See now this car right here, this Porsche Cayman S, this is a stone-cold four-wheeled mother of a car. Look how nice that car is. Ho, ho, ho. Look how cute that car is. Look how cute that car is. Look at that Honda Fit. Yes, baby, cute. Awesome car. The problem is the gasoline in the tank. Let's kick this mule. My God. Oh, oh. Come on, come on. I spent my childhood driving fast cars, working on them, writing about them. I love gasoline horsepower. But I've come to the conclusion that I'll never buy another gasoline-powered car as long as I live. The only way forward is electric cars.
It started with an email. The electric car was back from the dead. The car companies had lied to us before. Should we believe them? The only way to find out was to go behind enemy lines. For 3 years, we got access to some of the world's most secretive car makers. Let's start with the biggest and baddest of them all, General Motors. Over the last century, GM has churned out over 400 million gas-burning cars and trucks. In the 1990s, they introduced us to the joys of the 10-mile-per-gallon Hummer and the Escalade. But they also tried something truly revolutionary, the EV1, the world's first modern electric car. It was fast, sleek, and powered only by electricity.
First of all, it was the coolest car I ever had. I was taking care of the planet. I wasn't gunking up the air. It was a fantastic ride. It was fast. I'd be zipping along, man, 70, 80 miles an hour, you know, just feeling like $1 million. But
GM lost faith. They rounded up the cars as drivers protested.
Shame on you!
Then they crushed them and left them for dead. GM's chief executive, Rick Wagoner, later called it his biggest mistake.
when they took the EV1 away, I went into a depression. I felt like really sad because in the long run, you look back at it, they made a deal. Somebody made a deal to kill the electric car. And, it would have been a cool thing to have, and I still would have been driving it now.
GM had a lot of haters, and interestingly, people with very long memories. They would say they never would buy another GM again.
GM got a lot of bad publicity for the EV1, but here's where we are now. There's not only a business case for electric cars, there is a compelling business case. There is an inevitability to this technology. It has come so far, so fast, at a time when gasoline and the politics of oil have become increasingly problematic.
I think that when gas prices were high, there was a degree of excitement around electric vehicles that we hadn't seen before.
I'm sick and tired of worrying about gas prices every 6 months. I'm sick and tired of these failed wars in the Middle East. I'm sick and tired of breathing the air that we're breathing. We have the technology, we have the know-how, we are innovative. Let's act like it.
I do not believe this is a problem that is going to be resolved by regulators and bureaucrats. This is a problem that's going to be solved by engineers, innovators, and entrepreneurs.
Sometimes change starts with the most unlikely people.
Pretty good, thanks. Can't complain. Business is lousy, but other than that, everything's fine.
I found out what cigars you like.
Oh, yes.
This guy sure doesn't look like a radical.
Never one to turn down a bribe. And where's the brandy snifter?
Meet Bob Lutz, Mr. Horsepower.
We wouldn't be doing this in California.
Bob is vice chairman of General Motors and their media frontman.
Yeah, right there, eyes are perfect. Chin up a little bit. We need to kind of make you look badass anyway, so.
Fat ass?
Bad.
Bad, okay.
One of the guys who was blamed for killing off the EV1.
Great. You own fighter jets.
Everybody thinks, whoa, that must cost a lot of money. Actually, they're fairly cheap. And you mean the Obama pose where you're sort of looking for divine inspiration?
You're gonna kind of like that when you...
A threatening pose.
Not too threatening. We don't want to, that's the last thing we want to do right now.
Bob Lutz is a giant of a man. Like, he is just, he's larger than life. I mean, just...
Bob's been a car guy all his life. He's been vice president of Ford and BMW and president of Chrysler. Ever heard of the 3 Series? The Viper? The Ford Explorer? That's Bob.
He has a brilliant mind. He has a brilliant brain when it comes to what an automotive enthusiast wants.
In 2003, 2004, you could not find a person who was more dismissive of electric vehicle technology than Bob Lutz. He thought that there was no business case for it. He thought the people who supported it were lunatics. He did not, and probably still doesn't, believe in global warming. Then, I think something happened to Bob Lutz. I think he began to see some sort of light.
Well, I do consider myself an environmentalist, and but within reason. In other words, I still realize the benefits of modern automotive transportation. On the other hand, the flood of emails that I got saying, "You rotten SOB, you sold out to the oil companies and you've killed my grandchildren. I hope you rot in hell."
No one likes to be remembered as an evil or bad person, and certainly he's enough of an egomaniac that that would sting.
We were discussing how Toyota was running away with the technological image and the environmental image and so forth, and I said, well, why don't we at least do an electric prototype? And this was met with a singular absence of enthusiasm on anybody's part. Because the company had lost so much money on EV1.
So Bob's electric car came to a screeching halt. But in a world far away from Detroit, the real rebellion was already underway. It's launch day for America's newest car company. Drawing inspiration from one of the 20th century's most revolutionary inventors, the father of AC electricity, Nikola Tesla.
Very momentous day for us. It is our first car, and of course it's a car belonging to our first customer, and that would be also our chairman, Elon Musk.
I'm ecstatic. This is fantastic. Awesome day. It feels like victory.
I feel great. It's a great day for Tesla. I got goosebumps since I saw the car roll in.
We've been in development for so long. These feel like they're really our babies.
This is the first production Roadster, and a huge day for the company. Tesla is going to put thousands of these cars on the road. But beyond that, really what matters is, are we making a difference in the world? And for us to make a difference in the world, we have to build a lot of cars. You know, until we see every car on the road being electric, you know, we will not stop. So, you know, this is really just the beginning of the beginning. All right.
Elon Musk is a true believer, and he put you know, a tremendous amount of his personal prestige and personal wealth into that company.
Well, so far this is a very expensive car. Call this the $50 million car. That's about the amount of money that I've invested in Tesla. So it's kind of expensive.
Detroit is doing a lousy job making cars and making money. I mean, it's a disaster. So, you know, the idea that Silicon Valley could do a better job making cars, especially electric cars, is a very powerful one.
We've got Model 2 in development, which we're planning to unveil probably in the second quarter of this year, which is the electric sedan.
Elon's a career troublemaker. He's taken on the banks, the space industry, and now the car companies.
Okay, do you want me to drive it? All right. Sweet. Pretty awesome.
For me, Elon Musk has always been not really so much a car guy as an entrepreneur. He's had lots of companies in the past. He sold PayPal to eBay.
I just look at what he's accomplished and I'm like, geez, I better start working harder because I'm not making those kind of accomplishments in my life.
It's just a giant kick in the balls to the people that said we couldn't do it and that commercial space doesn't work.
Elon Musk is about as close as you're going to get in real life to Tony Stark. And it shows you how one person can make a difference with a certain amount of smarts and inspiration to change the way people think.
Suddenly there was the Tesla announcement. 200-mile range, 0 to 60 in 4-point-something seconds, 140-mile-an-hour top speed, 6,831 laptop batteries. And I basically said, well, now, wait a minute. I've accepted everybody's arguments of why we can't do this. But here's this small startup company in California, and they think that they can get all of these figures.
Elon's coup was just what Bob needed to drag GM back into the race. They weren't going to be shown up by a bunch of Silicon Valley upstarts.
It was a powerful argument. So whether Tesla is ever hugely successful or not, I'll always owe him a debt of gratitude for having kind of broken the ice.
Bob Lutz being a champion of electric cars is quite a switch from the Bob Lutz we used to know. He sold the board on the fact that this technology would leapfrog Toyota, which had been GM's nemesis.
The electric car was pushed all the way up the ladder by Lutz himself in a way that is very, very personal, a way that suggests he regards it as his legacy at the company.
But the Volt wasn't going to be a pure electric car. that was a step too far for GM. So the company bet on an electric car with a backup gas engine. This would give it more range when the batteries ran out of power. And then, Bob persuaded the company to put the Volt front and center at GM's 100th birthday party.
We're in the executive garage in the basement of the Renaissance Center, and this is the most secure location that we can find in the building. We notice we have plenty of security down here. And here is our baby.
It's now my great pleasure to present to you the production version of the Chevrolet Volt.
How did it feel driving in an electric car?
It felt great, Chris. I'm surprised you would ask.
Is the electric car back from the dead?
Well, you could argue, was it ever dead? Because I think people were, even after we recalled the EV1s, there were still electric vehicles out there. But I think it's back with a vengeance. And I would say the electrification of the automobile is a foregone conclusion.
As an analyst and a longtime journalist, I was still cynical because we'd seen a lot of concept cars that had gotten all the hoopla at the auto shows and then faded and died.
Some people aren't going to wait around for corporations. Around the world, an underground movement is growing. These people are making their own electric cars, right here and right now.
I'm Gadget. Been living and working in this warehouse for 16 years, and then for the last couple of years I've been doing electric cars. What I do is I take a car and I change it from gas power to electric. It's a lot greener to take an existing car rather than making a new one from scratch. I've got a Triumph Spitfire, a GT6, and a 67 Camaro. My latest project is a 356 Porsche Speedster.
We got married, we were building our future together in this building, and
We just finished our prototype lithium-ion, over 120 miles of range.
finally we've got something real here. This is the future, you know? And it's attainable, and we can all have one.
I can't wait to drive this around and show it off to people.
There are thousands of gadgets out there. Together, they're a force which could potentially rival the big car companies.
It's 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds, which is, you know, good for a little commuter car. It's half the price of a Tesla, not as fast as a Tesla, but it'll be a really good commuter car.
But for the big players, the stakes tonight are even higher. This is the first time GM has faced the electric car community since the EV1 disaster.
This is the halo for us. Hopefully, we're going to use this to win back and recapture the hearts and minds of the American car buying public. We've got to. I'm not Darth Vader. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a liar. I'm a father. I'm a dad. I'm a husband that really cares about doing the right thing. And the only way to get people to believe me is to talk like that, right?
And now they've got Tesla biting at their heels, too.
Tesla is definitely the star of the show. You look at the two cars, there's not really any competition.
The Tesla has a very high price point. I know that there's some sort of battery issues going on with the Tesla, so it's different. It's in its own little category. The Chevy Volt is going to be something that's much more affordable compared to the Tesla for everyday consumers to purchase.
That is gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, but it's $100 grand. But we need something that everyone can afford.
The Volt one, I think, speaks to me just because it's practical, but that one speaks to me because it's fast and cool. Put me down for one of each.
It is very good to have something that is a stopgap for General Motors to ultimately cut the umbilical cord of fossil fuels and get really onto electricity. And if that means that we have some competition, good. It's good for us.
I love having GM here. You know, the fact that they've got a range extended electric, if people drive that car and find that they never fuel it up, that means that they'll realize that they don't need a gas car. They can go pure electric. So it's a stepping stone.
By now, we were behind enemy lines. 5 years ago, we would have been arrested trying to get in here. Now, we were Bob's guests. The question was, who was playing who? Had Bob become a true believer, or was he just stringing us along?
This is one of the old Malibus, but it was dimensionally close enough that we could put all the Volt hardware underneath it. Today, I was supposed to drive it a few feet. I hit the start button and nothing happened. Recycled it, said, okay, now it'll work, and hit the start button again and nothing happened. And then finally somebody hit upon the fact that it was still plugged in. And it is programmed not to run with the when it's plugged in. So we disconnected it and then it ran fine. I've driven a lot of things during my long career, and to drive a fully electric car, lap after lap after lap around the grounds here, I really had the feeling of it being a historic moment. Certainly was in my career.
If a technology can win over a doubter like Bob Lutz, it can win over a lot of people, a lot of consumers.
I think what we're witnessing now is probably the most significant revolution of our lifetime in autos.
These are not hobbies. These are people responsible to shareholders. They can't afford a hobby. They need to make this a winner. This is real scale industrial innovation and deployment.
The goal of Tesla is really to go to mass market as soon as we can. We want to make this technology and electric cars affordable to as many people as possible.
We're going to have to get the lithium-ion technology together. We're going to have to work the integration between the gas engine and the lithium-ion battery pack. We're going to have to do all of that because we want to launch in the fall of 2010.
Someone just has to get a car out there and start selling it, and then other companies will have to fill the void. But somebody's got to be the first one out there.
We have copper wires coming from Finland. The electric motor is made out of our facilities in Taiwan. So my job is making sure that we can produce to our production schedule.
I have plans and backup plans and sometimes backup plans to those backup plans. And I'm always worried about what I'm missing. What have I not thought of? What has the team not thought of that's going to trip us up in the next 2 years?
I try and keep as much of the entire car and as much of the entire powertrain as I can in my head so that I can communicate with all the different groups and teams and direct our work and where people are headed.
From an automotive perspective, Tesla has an absolutely brilliant idea, which is creating a fast electric car. Unfortunately, the reality is that it takes a lot of work to build a vehicle.
You know, you can't give Tesla a pass just because their product happens to be cute electric cars.
I don't know if General Motors can make a desirable plug-in hybrid car. The company's been damaged in so many ways in terms of the brand and in terms of their human capital. You know, I don't know what the Volt's going to be like.
It's a race. It's a total race, and we know where GM is in the race. Looks like it could be the winner in it, but we don't know what everybody else is up to.
Every revolution needs its Napoleon, its master strategist. The world's most formidable car mogul was about to enter the EV race. It was time to meet the emperor.
There is no give in that man. There is no dream in that man. He's not a visionary. He is a capitalist. An enormously controlled, driven, desperately smart man who measures success, indeed life, by dollars and euros. Carlos Ghosn doesn't get up in the morning unless there's money in it. I recommend you go meet Carlos Ghosn and administer sodium pentothal. I want to know what this guy knows. I want to know how many chassis they're going to put this electric architecture into. How flexible is it? How much does it weigh? How scalable is it? I want to know exactly how they plan to make money.
Okay, so who's leading the meeting?
Yeah. Just a quick recap on the progress we have made getting the conversation started in the global marketplace for Nissan on zero emissions and electric vehicles.
When people express doubts about electric car, I think we should not go very heavy on this. We should say, yeah, maybe there are some concerns, we're working on them, and say, why? I don't want to wake up competition. I don't want to wake up competition. Because the more we are progressing, we are investing in batteries, we are investing in cars. This takes a lot of time, a lot of money. They didn't start. So every day they don't start is a good day for us. Our big difference is it's affordable.
Yes.
And it's mass marketed. That means you're going to be able to find it in every country, at every dealership you want.
You know, the Japanese are famously averse to saying no directly. That is not Ghosn's problem. Look at how he made his reputation. He was the axeman at Nissan.
When Carlos Ghosn took over Nissan, Nissan was on its knees. It was almost out of business.
He made a reputation as being this sort of terribly, terribly deliberate, driven, unsentimental guy. You know, 5 years ago, Ghosn wasn't talking about electric cars. It's remarkable the transition that has happened in the past 5 or 6 years when not only have they decided to go into the EV market, they have based their whole company strategy on it.
Well, we knew Nissan was working on lithium-ion batteries, and they have been working on them for many years. But I think it came as quite a surprise when Mr. Ghosn announced their very aggressive strategy in electric cars.
We didn't have truth serum, but we did have access and inside intelligence. Carlos was going to outflank his rivals with the Leaf, a pure electric car with a 100-mile range, priced for the widest possible market.
My nephew is crazy about Leaf.
Oh, yeah?
Actually,
I think the young generation is absolutely unconditional.
He's in high school. Everyone is talking about Leaf, not the EV or
Exactly, they
it's
know the
Leaf.
name, they're called by the name, yeah?
Yes.
We are the only one on the offensive with the electric cars, and everything we've seen is more defensive moves. What's the price of the price of their electric car today?
4.6 million yen.
It's $50,000. It has nothing to do with the electric car. I mean, this is a niche product. It's going to be a massacre. I don't think, frankly, that we are betting anything. It's not a bet in the sense that I don't know what are the odds, because I'm very confident about what's coming. What I don't know is how fast it's going to come. Somebody asked me the question, what do you think about the theory that global warming is not a problem, etc.? I say, that's not the issue. No matter how much I am convinced that global warming is an issue or is not an issue, that's not the plan. The public is expecting this from us. It's expecting this from us. It's expecting that car manufacturers step up and present technology in order to respond to these concerns. We think it's going to be a huge return for the company, huge return. We're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to manage it. It's going to change the face of the company. It's going to change the face of the brand, and it's going to change probably even the image of our industry. So what is at stake is huge.
Just as electric cars are starting to catch on, the economy collapses. Almost half of the world's financial wealth disappears, along with millions of jobs.
At that point, Lehman Brothers had collapsed. Credit had totally dried up. That shut off the valve of car sales. We didn't know how many car companies would exist, and including, would there be any Americans among them?
GM is on the brink of bankruptcy. Will the electric car be another casualty of the recession? No one, it seems, can escape the turn of fate.
Can you show us inside?
Yeah, come on. This was our 100-plus mile range electric car.
Woke up around 5 with the smell of burning plastic. And I thought to myself, I think there's a fire.
I came out. Smoke was so thick and heavy, I wasn't sure how big the fire was.
He came running back in and said, we've got to get out of here.
Called 911. They were here within 5 minutes. By then, flames were coming out the windows and out the roof.
Investigators say the fire was arson and started by vandals.
$250,000 of tools with no insurance. So here's what's left of the Camaro. That's gonna break a lot of hearts. There's my other 2 electric cars, my GT6, my Spitfire, my piano. This was a Charger at one time. A couple controllers that might actually be repairable, maybe. So this one may not have had that much heat. That could be the one saving grace. Through all this, the light's still on, the controller's still good. That's incredible. With that, I can build a car.
Yeah, I'll put the kettle on.
Good.
Losing billions of dollars each month, GM and their Detroit rivals come to Washington, D.C. to ask for help. They arrive in corporate jets. Not the best way to plead poverty.
Well, do you know how they got down there?
Right.
On private jets.
Yeah.
What the hell?
They zoom in a private jet. What do you think the folks are going to say? Oh, yeah, let's give them more money.
We're here today because we made mistakes, which we're learning from, because some forces beyond our control have pushed us to the brink.
Can you just tell me in absolute terms, how much money do you need to survive? Give me your worst case scenario.
The worst case scenario, the amount of money would be significant. I mean, we have suppliers.
What is significant,
$4 or $5 billion every month.
My fear is that you're going to take this money and continue the same stupid decisions you've made for 25 years. I'm afraid we're going to do this. It'll be a short-term bailout, and you didn't get the message. Give us the cars that we want, that other companies have been able to give us.
How much money do you
As public outrage grows, Bob is sent out to calm the mob.
You got a little pin on there. It says GM.
Yes.
Does that stand for Grand Mason? Are you one of the... Are you secretly controlling the world economy?
Oh, gee, I wish we were.
If you were controlling the world economy, you would be doing a terrible job right now, I have to say.
Yeah, just I banged my thigh on the corner of the desk, and it's going to take a second for the pain to die down. I'm trying to catch up on my emails. I'm getting so many as a result of the TV appearances. I think they were worried I would say the wrong thing, you know, because generally our communications strategy is in the direction of risk avoidance. In other words, a TV interview where nobody says the wrong thing and you get off relatively unscathed is considered a success. But the problem is you haven't used the opportunity to convey any positive information. So I'm not a proponent of the risk-free communications approach.
Mr. Horsepower has been cut down to size. However Bob spins it, there's little to celebrate in Detroit. 4 of GM's brands will be axed, including Hummer.
Hello, Mark. Hello, Mark. Hello, John.
Even their lunches are looking a little less lavish.
Oh, it's sandwich surprise.
What we need to do is just go over the North America Auto Show, the lineup.
Yeah, all right.
I'll show you what this looks like, but this is the wall and one turntable.
Radically de-blinked from last year.
Radically de-blinked.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a good time for a little humility.
It would be.
Yeah.
Not now, when?
Yeah.
I'm very afraid that GM's going to disappear in the next year. And I'm very afraid for our entire economy. I'm very afraid for the automotive industry in general if that happens. GM represents such a huge chunk of jobs in the overall nationwide economy that to see them fail would be horrible.
People who say, who needs the American car companies? I don't care whether that Chevrolet dealer is down the street or not, and I don't care if the Dodge dealer goes away. I'll just continue buying Hondas or Toyotas or Nissans. We've already lost way too much of our manufacturing capability. We've offshored everything. The last major manufacturing industry that's left in the United States is the automobile industry, and to let that go away would be catastrophic for the U.S. economy. It would absolutely plunge us into a severe depression.
One man tried to reinvent the auto industry back in the 1940s. Preston Tucker started a car company from scratch. Like Elon, he wanted to beat Detroit at their own game. But after making just 51 cars at his headquarters in Chicago, he went bankrupt.
Preston Tucker's biggest problem was he underestimated the amount of money it took to keep a car company going. And then that led to him getting into legal problems. And that was the end of maybe a very good idea.
The investment world is all of a sudden sort of pulled back into their shell, if you will, in the fact that the money's just not available anymore. You know, they probably don't have it available to them, and thus it's not available to us. It's unfortunate. I think it's just part of the times right now. And you know, I lost some friends that I worked with for many years, and that's too bad. But you know, hopefully we can move on despite what has happened recently.
I got a message last week that if Roadster can't sustain the company by March, then that's it, and that scares me.
We need to get the company to cash flow positive in 6 to 9 months, or we're screwed. It's really pedal to the metal here. Like, I mean, you know, each month that passes is literally costs us tens of millions of dollars. I mean, we need to appreciate that.
Tesla's gone through more than $100 million in 2 years and made just over 100 cars.
It wasn't until Zach and Doreen found the faults that we then realized that we had substandard parts on those cars, which quite frankly pissed me off.
I want names named. So if someone's always on the hot seat and is always the root cause for problems, they will not be part of this organization long term. It's not okay to be unhappy and part of this company. Right. And so if somebody can't get happy, get divorced.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Speak from personal experience.
At 38, Elon's running SpaceX and Tesla. He's got 5 boys, he's going through a very public divorce, and he's got a new fiancée.
There are a lot of resource conflicts when you have 5 kids. At any given point, somebody's taking somebody's toy.
What's this game?
Did you just take that from your brother?
Yeah, but I want to see what game it is.
So this is what I'm talking about. Somebody took somebody's toy. Statistically speaking, one out of the 5 has a good chance of being unhappy at any given point.
I don't know how he handles the stress. I mean, if I was him, I'd have died of a heart attack. You would not wish that kind of pain on your worst enemy. Elon proposed really quickly. The idea of being swept off your feet is appealing, and I'd probably have said yes to anyone that seemed half sensible if they proposed after 10 days, just because it's kind of an interesting thing to do.
Do that thing, Dad.
You know, obviously moved straight into the house with the children, and it became a very real thing immediately. My parents were traumatized by this whole experience. Although there's been so many times that, right, I'm getting on a plane to England and I'm never going to see you again.
Really?
No. No, not really. No.
All right.
There are all kinds of things being said about the Volt, a lot of questions about really how much mileage will it get. There have been rumors about spending a lot of time in the wind tunnel, changing the design, the battery having technical issues and really not being able to deliver on GM's promise.
This is the latest version.
No, it's not, because it's still got it's still got the screen that looks like it's removable.
Well, and we got the gears to be fixed. That gear shift.
It's the old gear shift.
Ah, you are taking away the soy. So this is the latest version.
Almost the latest
that was
version.
done.
It looks like it's removable, so you think people would want to grab it and pull it. And the second thing is, think of all the dust and crud and cigar ash and everything that's going to get down around behind those cracks. I'm not the only cigar smoker in the world.
Yes, are you guys going to go in and make sure that thing actually has snap
do
to it?
you think Bob Boniface and the design group would leave a key transition like that to a bunch of engineers and die makers?
Well, but you know, let's put it this way: it happened before, and now we're scrambling around trying to get it back again.
These things keep coming along from people outside the car business who have knowledge in some area and frankly have a tendency to treat the car business with disdain, because they say, yeah, but that's the old Rust Belt stuff, and they're still making these things in great big factories with a lot of workers. We believe in Moore's Law, you know, and by applying the principles of electronics, we can really revolutionize this thing, and they all fall on their butts. I mean, without fail. And I hope the best for Tesla. You know, I like those guys, and I think we would all like to see successful production of electric vehicles, whether they're ours or somebody else's. But I think Elon Musk and the guys are learning what it means to put automobiles into production. It ain't easy.
In 1920, in the US, there were about 300 car makers. Today, there are 2.5. It is a very demanding business that is constantly consolidating and chucking the little guys out.
Just headed to the Menlo store because I wanted to do a car-by-car walkthrough. I wanted to get basically a rundown of each car. What's its status and what are the issues? And I'm gonna do this every week. Hey, Greg, the key fell apart.
Of course it did.
Yeah, this is definitely on list of improvements.
Well, this is one of the cars we rejected for...
Holy mackerel. Jesus. Yeah, like, we have like an army of cars here. Like, Jesus.
I'm looking like we're going to be able to deliver 4 cars to the sales team.
This is frightening.
What's going on here is the team has been doing a little bit of rework today. Remember I was talking to you earlier about the vehicle that had the noise, it had the transmission noise?
Yeah.
I want to point something out to you, just kind of some of the incoming. You can see
It looks
up
like
here
something
in the
dragged
fingers.
over the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, we should be inspecting it at this level. If it's getting scratches in shipment, then we need to get the, you know, either ding the shipping company or find some way to stop that, you know?
I agree.
Jesus,
A few
the
cars
breather
to
hose is
tracks.
coming up that high?
Yeah.
What the?
Yeah.
Why? Are there any other resources we can apply to the problem? I mean,
Right now, we're using...
I'd rather overhire in this for this situation. Like, God damn it, we got to get these cars out. Let's stock inventory. Let's repair chips here. I'm available 24/7 to help solve issues. Call me 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I don't care.
It's been 23. This car had a drivetrain issue, so we're swapping in the new one right now.
Let's not even wait for the analysis. Just put a new powertrain in, table it for analysis, and let's get it out there.
Absolutely.
Right now, we're facing an issue, which is that it's sort of a crisis of confidence among our customers, where you can only tell them delay so many times, and then they start to think, man, is this company ever going to get me a car?
This is my car.
This is your car? This is actually your car? No kidding.
23, right? Number 23?
Yes, it's number 23, yeah. Well,
Okay. Well, you've heard the explanation now. So I guess hopefully it'll have a powertrain tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It's a nice. I was just thinking, actually, it's a nice choice of colors.
Hello, how are you? When I think about Carlos Ghosn and his approach to the EV market, I think of Sun Tzu, The Art of War, be where your enemy isn't. And so he has decided to build a 1 million vehicle market. They're talking about building, 150,000 EVs in North America in the next 3 years. This is a big strategic move. And if it fails, there will be no Carlos Ghosn, and there might not be a Nissan. That's how high the stakes are.
Good morning, how are you? Good morning. Yeah. Anything special we need to feature on it?
Yes. So basically, this is a DR car.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
So this is production car?
Yeah, production
Yeah.
car. So interior also we have these two.
This is where you have the different charging station and information on this. Okay, very good.
This is an electric vehicle, so we have to care about the window noise.
Yeah.
So, for example,
the shape,
special shape of the headlights
to optimize the wind noise. Right. Okay, very good. That's we've done blue. We have the blue color. We have the antenna on the. What's the weight of the battery on it? 250 kilograms. Yes. This one on the 250. We have a normal trunk.
Yes.
Can we open the trunk or not yet?
330 liter
Very good.
BTA.
Okay. Anything else? That's it?
Yeah.
Very good.
After years of planning, Carlos is ready to launch his $6 billion offensive. The only question, will his rivals get there first?
Honda entering in an EV market
With a
kickoff.
kickoff. Okay. So they are all in the principle that small, which is good for us, that they stay in this niche. But this is the 1.2 million yen target. Where is the battery in your opinion? Where is the battery here?
I have no idea.
I mean,
One place in the middle.
No, but is it possible here? Is it what, a round battery or something? We need to make sure we're not coming with something which is going to look prehistoric compared to that, because this is very futuristic.
Carlos Ghosn and Nissan make money on the Leaf and other electric vehicles, because we don't know how much the car is going to cost, we don't know what the profit margins are, and don't know what the production volume is.
You know, there's that thing that GM talks about, that range anxiety. And, you know, are people going to buy a car that can only go 100 miles between really lengthy charges? The scariest part is, can they really get the cost of these batteries down? And will it be something that's sort of viable long term?
Ultimately, Carlos Ghosn has to be the greatest salesman on earth and convince consumers across the globe that they should buy electric cars. Otherwise, the risk does not pay off.
Starting at what time?
It's starting at 9:50.
9:50?
But we're going to go straight right into the briefing right now. This way.
Okay.
The shortcut from the ongoing problem to the solution is a breakthrough. The solution is mass-marketed, zero-emission mobility on a global scale. Our environment is changing, and so is the way we are adapting to these new realities. Nissan is bringing an electric vehicle lineup designed for the mass market by offering environmental benefits at a price people can afford. Our technology is real: zero emissions, zero particles, zero noise, zero oil.
After the fire, Charlotte and I were living on the bus for 2 months, and with the fire, it made me really look around, maybe open my eyes and see what else is available.
Thanks to a loan from family and friends, Gadget starts over.
This is the new building. The thing that I really like about this is that this is a disposable building. It's just a sheet metal shed. I'm going to build a new building inside of it, and as my building comes up, I'll slowly tear this one away. So it'll be sort of the old shedding away and the new coming up through it. There's no electricity at all. There were homeless people living in here with fires, so the whole place is covered with soot. I want to take this roof and take it up higher. We'll have a couple of car lifts in here. And then in the back part of the building, this will be a nice little place for a garden. The first thing I want to do is rebuild a Porsche. And if I can get this thing from LA to Palm Springs and prove I have over 100 miles of range, I've got a viable business. So very quickly, I need to put together some tools and get the car together, get it out, and then we'll be back in business.
Hold out for now. But with these ice caps melting down, with the transistor sound, and my Chevrolet Terraplane going round and round and round. Come on, little cabaret.
After a year of delays, Tesla Roadster number 23 is finally delivered. Several hundred more are still on order.
Sometimes I feel like I'm writing the same story about Tesla over and over again, which is that Elon Musk has said this unbelievable thing about Tesla Motors' financial condition or their product plans or what have you, and it turns out not to be true.
Which leads us to Martin Eberhard, one of the founders of Tesla. He is now suing Elon for libel, slander, and breach of contract.
Martin was the original visionary of the Tesla Roadster. He's been sort of airbrushed out of the corporate history of Tesla, much like a Kremlin official.
When I started Tesla Motors, there were just two things that everybody knew about electric cars. One of them was that they sucked, and two was that they were dead. And this is the car that changed the way people think about electric cars. This is Tesla's first business plan. This is the first copy of the first business plan.
Tesla at that point wasn't, it was just basically a business plan and 3 guys working part-time. It's quite comical in the amount of money that, I think it said like 35 million or something like that was the total that would be needed to get to production, rather than 195, which is what it actually took. It didn't work very well.
There comes a point in the history of most startup companies where the entrepreneurs that started the company have to move on. And sometimes that's done in a very smooth way, and sometimes it's not.
He was fired from the company at that point, and from the board. And it was a unanimous board decision, by the way.
Martin withdraws his lawsuit after Elon threatens to countersue. To this day, the two men disagree about the history of Tesla Motors. Elon's becoming better known for feuds and firings than for making cars. And now, the company is out of money.
I mean, it's pretty hard fighting a two-front war in the middle of a Siberian winter. And both fronts are really freaking hard.
Between SpaceX and Tesla, Elon's burned through almost his entire PayPal fortune and is down to his last $3 million.
Just to keep Tesla alive, I had to wire $3 million personally with no guarantee of anything, basically wire the funds and say, use it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make payroll.
To generate cash, Tesla raises prices on people still waiting for their cars. Even the true believers are starting to doubt.
So I put a deposit down 2 years ago. $50,000. That's a lot of deposit. And a lot of friends who are a lot of naysayers. You're silly, you're stupid, you are just another one of the dumb doctors who fall for the boneless chicken ranch kind of schemes, and you'll never see your money. So when this came along, all of a sudden I took a big gulp, and I'm like, wow, my friends might be right.
I cannot understate the degree of grief that I've personally gone through and that many of other people at Tesla have gone through to make this work. When I say it was like eating glass, I mean glass sandwich every bloody day, okay? I wish we didn't have to raise prices. It sucks. I can't carry Tesla entirely by myself. It's just, I just don't have the resources to do it.
We took faith in you, and now you're just turning around and changing the price on us, not telling us, and then we find out about it backwards, and now we're kind of everyone's hurt because we weren't told.
We can't sell cars for you know, less than they cost us to produce. If anything more than that occurred, then it was an accident.
That's why there's a bunch of comments after it that all got
okay. There seemed to be a little bit of anger from some people in the room who felt that we'd kind of done a bait and switch. And I mean, that's sort of a little bit true that there was a bit of a bait and switch. I mean, that's I mean, kind of what happened. It was very tough. I never thought I was someone who's capable of a nervous breakdown, but I think I came as close as I'll ever come on December 22nd. And then I think once you've snapped, you probably don't realize it because you've gone insane. and your ability to sort of look in the mirror psychologically is substantially impaired. Probably most insane people don't think they're insane. So, I don't know, it was just like, geez.
If Tesla Motors were to fail, it would be a dramatic comeuppance for Elon. It might be the thing that sort of shakes him awake, that he can't just imagine a new world and will it into being, that he actually has to solve all of the everyday problems that everyone else in the business world has to solve day in, day out.
Elon's dream of taking on Detroit with a publicly traded car company is falling apart. Desperate for money, he's reportedly talking with big car companies and has applied for a $465 million loan from the Department of Energy.
What we've been told by the DOE that we are likely to receive the money in about 4 months. So if we were to take them at their word, then that's what will happen.
8 Mile was always the dividing line. South of 8 Mile was Detroit. North of 8 Mile were the suburbs. Regardless of how bad the economy got, it never went north of 8 Mile. And then in maybe the early 80s, it never went north of 12 Mile, 13 Mile. Now, you can go up to 16 Mile, 17 Mile, and you see a multiplicity of for sale signs. And never had you seen that before. And I think that really demonstrates the dire time that we're in.
We have seen the rise and yes, the decline of what is known as the Big Three: General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. Lives are hanging in an abyss of uncertainty as both houses of Congress will decide on whether they will or will not extend a helping hand. All of you that work for the automotive industry, come to the altar. We're gonna make it. Come on, I know somehow. I know somehow. And I know some way. I know some way. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
It looks like the only way to save GM will be to let the company go bankrupt.
Okay, everybody back in the vehicle.
Bob's good humor is wearing thin.
This is probably the first picture of me ever in the New York Times.
From yesterday?
Yeah, it was yesterday. Well, the gist of the article is, could we please tell the truth about General Motors? And the whole tenor of the congressional testimony and the questioning has been, we just insisted on making big trucks, and we failed to see the change, we failed to see the handwriting on the wall, and the wise Japanese in their infinite foresight saw this coming and concentrated on small cars. And you know, that is wrong on so many levels. The American public, environmental sentiment aside, goes where the gas prices are. There is a risk at current gasoline prices that the Volt will experience the same fate as the EV1. That is, everybody looks at it and says, that's nice, but why should I pay all that money for that thing when I can buy gasoline at $1.50 a gallon? And this is kind of my role because I don't mind taking a little personal risk in communication. And given my age, this is another good thing. See, given my age, if I really say something that is unfortunate and has the potential of causing the company some embarrassment, they can always say, well, that's Lutz, you know. I mean, he's a good guy, but he is getting on a bit. So.
I recognize that today's news carries a particular importance because it's not just any company we're talking about. It's GM. It's a company that's not only been a source of income, but a source of pride for generations of Americans. Earlier today, GM filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and will mark the end of an old GM and the beginning of a new GM. That's why our government will be making a significant additional investment of about $30 billion in GM. But I want to be honest with you. Building a leaner GM will come at a cost. More jobs will be lost. More plants will close. We are acting as reluctant shareholders because that is the only way to help GM succeed. But I want you to know that what you're doing is making a sacrifice for the next generation.
It's been extremely frustrating and disappointing. Since we moved in, we just haven't been able to move forward at all.
We've learned that the building has we knew it had pigeons, but it turns out the infestation goes back for years. So there's this airborne yeast and mites, which has affected me. I'm not really supposed to be here. I can't stay for long. I gotta wear a respirator. Turns out that all this paint that's peeling has got lead in it. The dust on the floor is toner because there was a business that recycled toner cartridges here. And they also did mercury bulb and battery disposal here. So none of this was disclosed, and apparently that's the dust that's on the floor. It's sort of a toxic waste in here, and people should not be inside.
The whole time that we've been here has been hard. Feeling angry, frustrated, and just completely at a loss as to what to do and where to go and how to move on. It's just taken the wind out of my sails.
So Gadget abandons his home and stops work on his electric car. Like Bob and Elon, he's discovered that revolutions don't come easy. With his competitors in disarray, Carlos dispatches the Leaf on a cross-country U.S. campaign. Will his vision of an affordable electric car survive, or will it perish under the long shadow of the gasoline car?
I think this definitely is Act 2 of the electric car saga.
Where you don't know if the hero's alive or dead. You're not even sure who the hero is anymore.
Yeah.
But you know that...
You saw his car drive off a cliff.
Right.
Was he in it?
Is he alive? Is he clinging to the cliff? I guess we'll have to tune into Act 3 to find out.
President Obama fires GM CEO Rick Wagner, and Bob goes into exile. The Volt is in jeopardy, along with Bob's legacy.
We have 2 white swans, and she's been sitting on eggs for weeks and weeks, and the cygnets hatched. And day before yesterday, there were 4. Last night, there were 3. And this morning, Dee says he can only count 1. And that's uncertain whether it's the large catfish that we have in the pond or whether it's the snapping turtles. But it's a dog-eat-dog world out in that pond. I think you have to start slowing down at some point and enjoying life a little bit more. Denise frequently complains that you're always gone, you're never available. So at some point, I am going to have to force myself to stop and let total boredom take over.
Tesla gets a $90 million lifeline from Daimler, but the DOE loan has still not come through. So Elon plays his last card. He launches the more affordable Model S, hoping to wow Washington and pull in fresh money to keep Tesla afloat. But behind the scenes, the Model S prototype isn't quite ready.
Hey, somebody kick me that flashlight?
I really believe that the sedan is absolute vaporware. There is no way that Tesla has the cash on hand in order to be able to truly develop their own sedan.
Need to get a half-inch torque wrench, please.
They've got a prototype that they're going to show, and they're going to start taking deposits, which I find just an amazing act of gall.
Last few days, last few months, or just been a very, very high workload, and then between SpaceX, Tesla, and kids, it's there's just really not enough time in the day, so not enough time to sleep. And am I looking forward? You know, the honest answer is I'm not looking forward to the party tonight.
50-inch TV at the same time.
All night long, I'll be selling cars for 5 hours after sort of selling cars for, 5 hours before that. It won't be fun for me. I hope it's fun for others, though. You can actually fit a 50-inch TV, a surfboard, and a mountain bike at the same time. Extremely good handling. You need a spatula to turn this thing over. Hope you consider buying one.
Okay, that would
I think it'll be well suited,
Definitely. That would be the perfect thing for Maria.
In his final years, Nikola Tesla was ridiculed for making outlandish claims. Is Elon facing the same problem?
Oh, Elon's gonna lose his shirt. Yeah, Elon's gonna get crushed.
People said he'd never get the rocket in space. He did that. People said the Roadster would never get delivered. He did that. People said he'd never get 100 of them done. He's got 200 done.
I think it's ridiculous to criticize somebody who's actually creating a change.
As an entrepreneur, you can't listen to the noise. And you certainly can't listen to losers who have never accomplished anything with their life who are obsessing about you. Please.
Yeah, I'd love to have an opportunity to walk around the event and see all the cars. I don't actually pay close attention to what others are doing because I have so much to do at Tesla and SpaceX.
See that one?
That looks like very much a concept car. Sorry.
It's all right. Just chase us around.
Oh, hey. How are you doing?
Hi, Elon. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fine, thanks. You enjoying the show?
Yeah. I just got here early this morning.
Where's your vehicle? Do you have it displayed?
Yeah. It's just that way.
Okay. So you're not in Electric Alley?
We're close.
Yeah. Well, we're not in Electric Alley either with the Volt. Have you had a look at the BYD?
No, Come on. I haven't actually had a look at anything yet. I've just been in meetings all morning.
There's some really strange stuff here in Electric Alley.
Oh, that's cute.
I'll tell you what, I'll go at it in my Corvette ZR1 and you can chase me down with this thing. But the Nissan Leaf, certainly, what do you think of that?
It sounds like it could be successful. I mean, I think it seems like a good way to go.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
They don't tell you very much. 100 miles per charge. Actual range may vary based on conditions, weather, and battery age.
Well, we're going to go for the groundbreaking of the facilities that are going to build the batteries and the electric cars for the United States. It's an important investment for us. We're talking about 200,000 battery a year and 150,000 car a year.
This has been described as the largest deployment of electric vehicles and charging infrastructure ever undertaken. I'm very proud that Tennessee is an integral part of this effort.
Everybody's going to come to the game when their electric car will be ready.
Do you feel like you're ahead of the game?
I don't feel, I am.
Carlos sounds confident. But truth is, he's gambling with billions of dollars and tens of thousands of jobs. And the sharks are circling.
I'd like to know if the Leaf would be affordable enough.
Leave the shift to electrification of vehicles as a risk for Nissan or not?
What was the personal thought process? Was there a certain aha moment?
The aha moment is every day. I mean, I would not be driving all of this if I saw a risk. Obviously, there is no guarantee. People say, you know, how about the guy who's making, you know, driving very long range? We don't care. We are not addressing the car for this, for these people.
Talk about your model for profitability for Leaf.
Frankly, I can give you any answer. Any answer. You need to predict the future, prepare for it. You don't know if it's going to happen, but if it happens, we'll be ready.
A few blocks from the hotel room, where Nikola Tesla died penniless 60 years earlier, Elon faces his final challenge: selling Tesla to Wall Street. The omens are not good. The NASDAQ is down 2% and falling.
Everybody's talking about one of the most hyped IPOs in recent memory, Tesla Motors. It sold 1,063 cars. I myself have sold 1,063 cars. You don't want to own this stock. You shouldn't even rent the darn thing.
Well, big losses on Wall Street today, as we've been reporting, and it's just the same for just about any U.S. stock, except one, Tesla Motors.
It is up. It priced above the range, sold 20% more stock than it thought it would, and it is still up.
Shares of the electric car maker Tesla Motors are up.
The electric car maker surged to nearly 41%, the second best IPO gain of the year.
So this is a very big indicator to some, not to all, that Tesla is for real, a real car company that's going to usher in the future of cars. Of course, their message is electrification.
You know, for a while there, we had a lot of bloggers maintaining a Tesla death watch.
A day-by-day count of how long before Tesla
right,
would die.
It seems that they may be waiting for a while.
It says NASDAQ welcomes Elon Musk. June 29, 2000.
You know, sometimes success is the best revenge. GM's restructuring seems to be working. The company begins to pay back its government loan. Bob's plug-in Volt goes into production.
It's a thrill. It's a thrill. I just wish there were more of them. There we go. In goes the battery. Ultimately, every single car in the line will be a Volt. My own personal prognosis for Volt sales is way, way, way beyond what General Motors currently says.
Okay, gentlemen, how are you? Well, good to see you. How are you? It's good to see that the line is very, very busy, huh?
Please sign my book for me. Thank you, Mr. Ghosn. It's an honor to meet you.
On an all-electric vehicle, it makes me feel like I'm on the front end of something new. It's a new wave. I can look back years from now when it becomes popular. I can tell my kids, hey, we were one of the first that came up with the new electric vehicles. It'd be astounding to be able to tell them that years to come.
So the toast is to creating the greatest car company of the 21st century and making a real difference to the world in moving us off fucking oil as fast as possible.
And Gadget finally finds a new home.
This is a really big new year for us because last year we lost everything. And so we are just now putting it back together. It's our new studio, new shop, new home, new everything. So this is a fresh start for us. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, What does it take to get a picture just you and me?
What's needed for the real revenge of the electric car? Time. It's just a matter of time.
It is the light of the sun.
Right now, we have a dirty grid. But the cool thing about the electric car is that it's the only car in the world that gets cleaner over time. Because as we clean up the grid, and there's every indication we will, the more you clean up the grid, the cleaner your car gets. It's the only vehicle in the world that actually gets cleaner the longer you own it.
What we're proving in Israel is that we can actually put a system in place, an extension to the grid, that would get a country off oil.
So that's the difference between having a gas-guzzling car and an electric car. That's like the dark ages. This is the new age. This is going to happen. Everybody's going to want it. You wanted the internet? You're going to want an electric car. Hi.
Hey there.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for coming.
So this is it.
Oh yeah, that is a beautiful car. That's the Volt?
That's the Volt.
Okay, look at that, baby. This is Chevy.
It's a Chevrolet, yep.
Oh man, this better be good.
Who'd have thought, right?
Who'd have thunk I'd be driving a Chevy?
Did you drive our EV1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that yours?
That was GM, yeah.
Oh man, I love that car.
That was a fantastic car.
Oh my God, you're not gonna take this one away from me, are you?
No.
That's the most solid Chevy I ever drove in my life. Seriously.
I don't want to wait another 60, 70 years before we catch up to the reality that it's here now. These innovations are here. Bring them to me. I want to play.
There comes a point when you know too much. For me, knowing what I know and having been where I've been, gasoline-powered cars started to become very, very bittersweet for me. And I've been saying goodbye in my head for about a year now. What I want is a car that I can live with, that goes fast and is fun and is clean. Because that's where the imagination is. That's where the inspiration is at. That's the future.
There's a long line of cars and they're trying to get through. There's no single explanation, there's no central destination. But this long line of cars is trying to get through. And this long line of cars is all because of you. We don't wonder where we're going or remember where we've been. We've got to keep this traffic flowing and accept a little sin. So this long line of cars will never have an end. And this long line of cars keeps coming around the bend.
121 and a half miles.
Fantastic.